Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. I'm Jenny Taft with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing great, Jenny. How are you this morning? Good morning, Skip.
Good morning, Shannon. Jenny, I'm doing 12 times better than Shannon Sharpe today in honor of the GOAT, number 12, who now plays in Tampa. Thank you very much.
Actually, he's not the GOAT anymore, Skip, so stop calling him that. He's an old GOAT. There are new GOATs in town now, and we're about to talk about it.
So many goats on this show. That is not where we're going to begin. I would like to start Undisputed with some quarterback talk. According to Pro Football Focus, Deshaun Watson was the most clutch quarterback in the fourth quarter and overtime during one-score games. Deshaun had 8 touchdowns to just a single interception when it mattered most. So, Shannon, do you agree with Deshaun being the QB on the all-clutch team?
I think Deshaun Watson has been unbelievable. And Skip, because we've had such a big picture of watching Deshaun Watson be clutch. We watched him against Alabama twice, once in a loss where he played unbelievable, and once in a victory where he threw a game-winning touchdown with 1 second left on the clock. And he picked up right where he left off early in his career, his rookie year. He did that. He ended up getting hurt, sat out the remaining of the season. And ever since then, we've watched Deshaun Watson be clutch in big moments. But I'm not taking Deshaun Watson. I do not believe Deshaun Watson is more clutch than Patrick Mahomes, boy. And Exhibit A. Well, I got Exhibit A, Exhibit B, and Exhibit C. The playoffs last year. 24 down to Deshaun Watson teams. 7 straight touchdowns, Skip Bayless. That's what you saw. He was down again. 10 points to the Houston Texans. And what did we see, Skip? You saw that in the Super Bowl, Skip. He was down 10 in the fourth quarter. 3 straight touchdowns. Skip, he's been unbelievable. And he's showing you different sides because before, he really never scrambled. But then we saw that run. Skip, wasn't that a great run, Skip? I hadn't seen a run like that. Oh, my goodness. When was the last time you saw a quarterback scramble like that? Shugging off defenders, stiff-arming defenders, rolling through, breaking tackles. They couldn't get him down. He would not be denied. He didn't do it all with his arm. He did some of it with his legs, Skip. And so when you look at it, Skip, and in 2018, you remember that final drive, Skip, against the Ravens? He needed a touchdown. Got it. 4th down. Got 4th and 8. Tyreek over the middle, 48 yards. In the touchdown, 4th down. Got it. See, the thing that hurts Pat Mahomes, boy, Skip, is guess what, Skip? He very rarely finds himself in a situation where he needs to be clutch because he's normally clutch throughout the entirety of the game, and he doesn't find himself in those predicaments. But when he does, he's been money. He's the best quarterback in football. He's the best player in football. There's no question about that. And I disagree with this. I think Deshaun Watson is unbelievable, but I do not believe Deshaun Watson is more clutch than Patrick Mahomes.
The best quarterback in football will reemerge in Tampa, Florida. Very quickly.
Oh, my God.
Pretty quickly, sooner than later. You're going to see a Super Bowl team in Tampa Bay, and you're going to see a 43-year-old quarterback prove to you once again he's still the current and the lasting GOAT in this league. But now back to Jenny's question about what happened just in 2019. Clearly, Deshaun Watson was the clutchest quarterback in 2019. And as you point out, Shannon, he just keeps doing what he did twice at Clemson against St. Nick's defense when he was even more saintly than St. Nick's defense. He threw parties on St. Nick's defense twice in a row in championship games, narrowly lost one, pulled one out with clutch last-second walk-off throw to Mike Renfro. I saw it coming. You saw it coming. And we saw it reach its peak last year when all he did was, to me, save Bill O'Brien's credibility and ultimately his job. Bill O'Brien just keeps making boneheaded GM decisions, and he keeps making boneheaded in-game decisions, And Deshaun Watson just keeps pulling him out of the fire. If you look at these numbers that Pro Football Focus came up with, and I was in awe of these, it's game over. It's not even close. I can't even put the GOAT in this conversation if we're just talking about 2019, because in clutch time, in these one-score games, Deshaun Watson had 214 snaps, which was by far the most any quarterback got thrust into a year ago. And in those clutch time moments, all Deshaun did was go 66 of 88. What? 66 of 88 for 909 and 8 touchdowns and only 1 interception. And they went on a late season run to once again basically steal the AFC South, and it was all Deshaun all the time. These are close games, one-score games. At Indy on that Thursday night, they won 20-17. Then he outdueled Tom Brady, who had no weapons, obviously, but at Houston, big stage game. Well, he just did. You know, it was a QBR of 85 for Deshaun, only 26 for Tom Brady. Remember, he threw one that N'Keal Harry just sort of lost, didn't even try for, and it got picked off, picked sixth. So we had that game, and then he goes to Tennessee, did Deshaun, and beat them 24-21. And then he goes to what is now Tampa Bay. It was then Jameis Bay. And he beat the Buccaneers with a late, long drive that ended in a field goal. They won that game 24-21. And then dare I even bring up the first playoff game that Deshaun played last year? Dare I even raise the issue of the play in overtime? They're down 16-0 at Buffalo. He scratches and claws back into the game. And then, remember, 2 pass rushers get free, looping from each side. They both meet at the quarterback. Huge collisions. Deshaun's sandwiched in the middle. He somehow stays upright. The 2 pass rushers knock themselves off each other. Deshaun escapes, flips it to his back, who then escapes and winds up going, 34 yards for the 1st and 10 that they just ran down the clock and then kicked the field goal. It was the playoff play of the year to me, and it saved and won that game.
You know the play of the year, Skip. Stop that. You know the play.
What?
My homeboy.
You talking about
27-yard scramble TD.
Scramble? He ran a 12-flat 40. I could have outrun Patrick Mahomes on that play. He was lumbering like an offensive lineman. My God. There were 7 Tennessee Titans who had shots at him. They either took bad angles or they just quit. They thought it was suddenly flag football, and they were all groping for a flag that wasn't there on the belt to Patrick Mahomes.
He's too fast.
It got clear down. It got clear down to like the 3-yard line, and 2 DBs just spin. They just like do whirly gigs, and they're like groping at air. I've never seen poor angles or poor tackling on any single run in the history of football. And you're going to say that was the play of the year? I guess it was the shockingly awful tackling play of the year. I'll give you that. But your guy who must weigh like 250 now, he's huffing and puffing and lumbering down the sideline.
Skip, stop hating.
They're not tackling me. I'm going to keep huffing and puffing until I get to the end zone. Stop it. That was the play of the year.
Be that as it may. He might be 250, he might be 265. All I know is that they couldn't catch him. And then he put the head fake on the one guy and shot past him and then kept his momentum in bounds, because his momentum could have easily taken him out of bounds. But he's like, no, he shifted his center of gravity, dropped that, kept trucking, split 2. They had him sandwiched in, Skip. You know how cars, we see in the movies, and they're coming like, oh, they gonna get it. And he shoots right through the gap. Then one guy tried to tug him down by the ball. He's like, I will not be denied. Can't nothing hold me back. Can't nothing slow me down. And that's what he did. Can't stop, won't stop.
I remind everyone that play came before halftime. It was an avalanche of points on the Titans, and it was over before halftime. Basically, the Houston Texans game was over before halftime because, once again, Bill O'Brien struck again. It's 4th and 1 all the way down at, where was it? They got all the way down to the 13. 4th and 1 at the 13-yard line. Deshaun has them up 21-0. He is badly outplaying my homeboy. And all of a sudden, Bill O'Brien says, I think I'm going to kick the field. You're going to kick the field goal. Why don't you just kick them right in the teeth? Kick them in the stomach. Kick them right where it hurts the most. Kick them, and the game's going to be over. You got a chance to go ahead 28-0. They're not coming back from 28-0.
Oh, yeah, we would have.
And then Bill O'Brien happened, and Bill O'Brien, as I said the next day, I'm not 20/20 hindsight, Bill O'Brien cost them the game and the season as usual. I have no idea how Bill O'Brien still has a job in Houston, Texas, but it's all because of his quarterback. That team was Deshaun or bust last year. It's even going to be more Deshaun or bust this year now that DeAndre Hopkins belongs to Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's going to be the wild card team. I wouldn't be shocked if Kyler Murray steals that division. They're going to be the surprise team of the year, in part because he now has the clutch receiver that was soulmates with Deshaun Watson. So I'm sorry, the body of work adds up to Deshaun Watson because we haven't talked about the Super Bowl yet, have we, Mr. Shannon Sharpe? Can you tell our faithful viewers what happened late in the third quarter of the Super Bowl, please? Could you please tell them? Patrick Mahomes, let's see, it was 3rd and 12. He threw a ghastly interception. What are you doing? You're my homeboy. You're an MVP. You throw an interception late in the third quarter of the Super Bowl while you're trailing? Then just a few minutes later, actually, it was the next possession, early in the fourth quarter, it gets to be 3rd and 6. What does my homeboy do? Well, he looks like my homeboy lives in a trailer park because he throws a 3rd and 6 interception. That's 2 picks in a row in a Super Bowl, late third, early fourth quarter. And you're telling me he's clutch? And then the game comes down to 3rd and 15 at the Kansas City 35 with 7:13 left in the game. Can you tell the viewers what McClutch Boy did? McClutch Boy drops back. He has a pass rusher right in his face. He commits the cardinal sin of basically throwing a blind pass right up into the pass rusher that's looming. Yeah, it was. He didn't even look where he was throwing it. He basically flung a punt, a blind punt into the left flat. It's up for grabs. It's basically a 50-50 ball. And Tyreek sees it, and go look at the tape. Tyreek has to stop his route, and wait a second, he retreats. He starts running back toward the quarterback. I think I saw him wave his hand to fair catch the ball, but I'm not sure about that. And he caught the punt and turns around and nobody's there and winds up with a 44-yard gain that basically puts them in position to win the Super Bowl. Are you giving me clutch on those 3 throws? 3 third down throws that were horrendously bad. They were dangerously bad, all 3. 2 picks, 1 could have been picked. And you're telling me he's the clutchest quarterback in football?
Whoa.
I don't even know who you're talking about.
Skip. Okay, how about this here? In Tom Brady's last 3 Super Bowls, he's thrown at least 1 pick. He threw one against Seattle, he threw a pick 6 against Atlanta, and he threw another pick. Am I correct? Am I correct, Skip? No, excuse me. 3 of his last 4, because I don't think he threw one. I don't think he threw one against Philly, but he threw one against the Rams. He threw a pick 6 against Atlanta. He threw a pick against Seattle. They come back and win the game. You said that's clutch, but what you won't tell the people at home to provide context, because since you like to say Michael Jordan told Steve Kerr he was coming to him, what about Pat Mahomes going to the sideline? NFL Films had it, Mike. Let's run that play to Tyreek. He called his shot. He said, we're going to run that, and I'm going to stand in this pocket. Guy going to come free. I'm not going to be able to step, but I got so much arm strength. I'm going to be able to complete this ball. 3rd and 15. Bullseye. Got it. We in business now. They go on and win the game. Skip Bayless, that is clutch. And the guy that you're talking about that's more clutch than Mahomes, well, you had your chance. What do you think would have happened if Mahomes would have got up on Deshaun 24-0? Do you believe they would have come back on them and scored 7 straight?
I do.
If he'd have got up on...
Yeah.
Mahomes boy scored 7 straight drives. 7. Boom, 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 boom.
Allow me to turn your bullseye into a bunch of bull jive. How dare you put Patrick Mahomes in the same sentence with Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr.? How dare you take a shot at Tom Brady's postseason resume? He has 6 Super Bowl wins with 6 game-winning fourth-quarter drives. He also had a 7th game-winning fourth-quarter drive that got canceled because Bill Belichick's defense couldn't stop Eli Manning in the first Eli Super Bowl from pulling off the play of the Super Bowl, the luckiest play in the history of the Super Bowl, to win that game, as you recall, 17-14. So Brady should have been 7 for 7 with game-winning fourth-quarter drives. And in the other loss, he threw for 505 yards, as you mentioned about Philadelphia, and Belichick's defense gave up 41 points to Brady's 33. This man, Tom Brady, has been the clutchest performer over time we've ever seen in any sport, including Michael Jeffrey Jordan, because Jordan just didn't get as many opportunities to be clutch as Brady has had. All Brady has done is be clutch. Against the Legion of Boom, 124 yards passing in the fourth quarter on 13 of 15, and they come back from 24-14 down. And against Atlanta, down 28-3, and he throws for 246 in the fourth quarter and overtime. Are you kidding me? Another game-winning drive against the Rams in a 3-all game in which he completes 4 straight passes, goes 4 for 4, including the big 29-yarder to Gronk that sets it up 1st and goal, and they win that game. Wow, how can you even start? Tom Brady makes Patrick Mahomes look like he lives in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath homes.
You crazy. Skip Bayless, here's the thing. I just want you to understand that the NFL only has room for one Patrick, and Patrick Mahomes is it. So that other Patrick's going to have to go. There's a new sheriff in town, and his name is Patrick Mahomes. That's it. Now, there's a new sheriff in town, Skip, but I know it's hard. I mean, them old rustlers, those guys, they didn't want to leave. And Tom Brady going to go kicking and scratching. But you saw what my homeboy did to him in his home. He went to Foxborough and said, there's a new sheriff in town, bruh. He didn't come, scratching, clawing, yelling, letting everybody know, I'm here. And it's my time. It's my time.
Tom Brady had the worst supporting cast in pro football last year. He had the worst receiving corps in pro football, dead last in separation from defensive backs or linebackers. Patrick Mahomes, by all accounts last year, had the #1 receiving corps in pro football, but now it's been eclipsed by Tampa Bay. We're going to talk about this a little later in the show, but now Tom Brady, by adding Rob Gronkowski to that unit in Tampa Bay that led the league in passing yards last year with 2 Pro Bowl wideouts. Now that's the #1 receiving corps, so Tom Brady is back in business. And I'm going to remind everybody, we're talking about Pro Football Focus stats on clutchness just from 2019. If you look at the 2018 stats, not that long ago, a quarterback who my man Shannon Sharpe, the Hall of Famer, said was washed up, over the hill, done. In 2018, Tom Brady led all quarterbacks in clutch stats in regular and postseason. That was just 2018. The guy who was done led all of pro football in clutchness. And I'm going to remind everybody, Tom didn't have that many opportunities to be clutch last year, except for that last game against the suddenly hot Dolphins in Foxborough with the 2 seed on the line. All Tom Brady did in that final game was lead a 60-yard, 8-play drive, including a finishing 23-yard touchdown pass to James White that put the home team, the Patriots, ahead 24-20 with 3 minutes to go. He did it again. He did what he's been doing for 20 years, another fourth quarter game-winning drive, except this one was canceled by Ryan Fitzpatrick, who then went 75 yards in 13 plays against Bill Belichick's choking defense.
I need you to tell the whole story. Tell him about the chance that he had an opportunity to have a game-winning drive against the Tennessee Titans. He had an opportunity to do a game-winning drive. He had several opportunities against the Baltimore Ravens. See, what you do is that you like to pick when Tom Brady is successful. And then when he's unsuccessful, you mention about what he didn't have. But you never mention what he didn't have when he is successful. When he had those clutch performances, he had some of those same guys. And you talk about how clutch he was. Now when he doesn't succeed, you talk about he didn't have anybody. So which is it? Either Julian Edelman is or he isn't what you said he was, which is a Super Bowl MVP and a potential Hall of Famer. Either he is that or he isn't that. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Either James White is good or he isn't.
Julian Edelman through the 2018 season was on a Hall of Fame pace. Julian Edelman last year became a broken down shell of himself at age 33. He needed shoulder surgery right after the season finished. I thought he was going to need knee surgery. He had cracked ribs. He did have a banged up shoulder, got that one fixed. He led the league in drops last year. I don't know what else you need to know. That's your only go-to receiver? What?
You know why he had to have all those injuries? Because Tom Brady kept throwing those crash test dummy balls. That's what he turned Julian Edelman into, a crash test dummy. Throwing them balls with 4 or 5 guys around him and he getting ramshackled. That's what happens, Skip. If you're going to tell the story, I wish you would tell the entirety of the story and provide context, because you make it seem like Julian Edelman just stepped off a cliff. He's the only one. But Tom Brady didn't regress. See, the problem that I have with people, and I don't have a problem with Tom Brady, I have a problem with people that always point out what Tom Brady doesn't have when he wins. But they never mention that. When he lose, oh man, Tom ain't got nothing. Look at what he's working with. When he win, they don't mention. That was Tom. He was magnificent. Chris Hogan. Oh, Chris Hogan is nothing. What would he be? He might not be anything, but he's perfect for what they do in New England. Julian Edelman, he might not be anything outside of that, Skip, but he's perfect in that system. How about give the guys credit? But you won't. You want to give Tom all the credit when it goes well and none of the blame when it goes wrong. That is the problem that I have, not with Tom, is that the people that support Tom want to highlight how great he is when it's going well and how bad his supporting cast is when it doesn't. That's the same supporting cast. Up, down, those are his guys.
All I know is I'm waiting for somebody to show me how Patrick Mahomes was clutch in the Super Bowl, in which Jimmy Garoppolo in the fourth quarter, the next Tom Brady, went 3 for 11 for a grand total of 36 yards plus an interception, plus missing a wide open receiver, as you recall. Remember that at the end of the game? Wide open. Okay,
so let me ask you a question. Explain to me how Tom Brady is clutch when Matt Ryan does what he does in the late third and the fourth quarters. See, you don't mention that. You talk about just how great Tom Brady was. Okay.
Yep. But Tom Brady didn't throw an interception in the late third quarter and early fourth quarter like Patrick Mahomes. He didn't have.
He threw a pick six that caused them to be down by even more than what they were.
That was in the first half. I give you that. Yeah, I just did. I acknowledge he did that in the first half. Then he threw for 246 yards just in the fourth quarter and overtime. Try to top that. That's unheard of. That's impossibly great.
Let me ask you a question.
That's Tom Brady.
After Mahomes threw those 2 interceptions in the late third, early fourth quarter, can you tell the people at home what he did after that? How many consecutive touchdowns did he lead? That's clutch, right?
3rd and 15,
is that the definition of clutch?
That Tyreek came back and fair caught. I give you that.
But you didn't say anything about the shot that Tom Brady completed to Edelman that caromed off of 4 defenders, kicked off a guy's ankle, and Edelman caught it. You didn't mention that.
Yep. No, I did. We talked about it the next day after the game. We also talked about the completions he had.
That was 3 years ago. No. That was 3 years ago. Talk about it now.
Okay. I acknowledge that.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll wrap this up, guys.
No mercy.
Several athletes, including DeMarcus Lawrence and LeBron James, have now weighed in on the death of another unarmed African-American man in police custody. Video of George Floyd's arrest showed a Minneapolis police officer with his knee pressed against Floyd's neck, while you could hear him saying that he could not breathe. He later passed out and eventually did die. The 4 officers on the scene have been fired, and an FBI investigation is underway. And Shannon, we have now seen many different athletes reacting to this incredibly tragic story, and I would like to hear your reaction.
Yeah, Jenny, we've seen this far too often, and what I'm feeling now is sadness, disappointment, heartbreak for his family, his community. And the question that I ask is that when will they hear our cries? When will they realize that they're hurting us? You know, you try to have these conversations, and every time, and it was funny, Skip, I woke up this morning and I had a general idea, and I didn't sleep well last night because I was going through my mind what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it. And I was thinking to myself, what are some of the reasons that when we try to have these conversations, we end up going nowhere? And right on cue, Skip, a young lady, a white lady that I've been friends with for 20 years, Skip, she sends me a stat in which more whites are killed by police officers than blacks. And it dawned on me, that's one of the reasons. Because when we say you're hurting us and you're having these confrontations with us that ends up with us being dead, you say, but Shannon, there are more whites than blacks that are being killed by police officers. Without providing context, there are 3 times the white population as the black population. Blacks are 4 or 5 times more likely to die at the hands by police officers than their white counterparts. And the most trusted, tried and true, one that they will always use, Skip, when you try to have this conversation about police brutality against black, what about the black on black crime? It's the same thing that why blacks have greater underlying health conditions than whites. Because for 400 years, our eating habits, we were forced to eat less than. So we developed bad habits. The same thing as the 400 years of oppression that's been placed upon us. The institution is systemic racism. That is the reasons why. Skip, they put nowhere in the police report that the officer had his knee on the man's neck for 10 minutes. That was not in the police report. Skip, what made my blood boil is what the police officer had his 180-pound body, knee on the guy's neck, with his hands in his pocket. Skip, you know and I know if you feel that there is a threat, there is no way you're putting your hands in your pocket. The man is handcuffed, flat. And then in the report, they said he had an underlying condition. I don't care what your conditions are. If somebody puts their knee on your neck for 10 minutes, for 5, 7 minutes, you're going to die. And then you're going to use that he had diabetes, he had a heart condition as the reasons, and not the fact that you had a knee in the man's neck? Skip, this is, and we got this on camera, and it doesn't seem to matter because we've heard the I can't breathe before. The Eric Garner situation, Skip, the same situation. What even more egregious, Skip, one of the officers is standing around looking at the sky like this is standard operating procedure. He's like uncaring. At what point do you say, man, I think he's got, he says, I can't breathe. You're going to kill me. We just watched a man die on live TV. And what do you say? Because more whites are killed by the hands of police, but we're disproportionate. We are a minority. But if you want to extrapolate that, think about that, Skip. Just think about this. If we had 180 million black men and women in America, with the way the police interact with us, can you imagine? Can you just imagine the death toll? We saw this, Skip, in Brunswick, Georgia. It used to be, Skip, we thought it was just isolated. That would never happen here. Now we see it happen in Brunswick, Georgia. We see what happened in Minnesota. We saw the lady call the cops on a guy in Central Park, and she used the code, Skip. If you want the police to come in a hurry, African-American threatening, and they're on their horses. Come on, people. Skip, there are a lot of great white men and women in America, especially when I'm talking to the athletic community, and they have a lot of worthy cause, and they've raised money for a lot of worthy cause. When it was the flood that hit Houston, J.J. Watt stepped to the forefront, raised $40-50 million. They have guys that raise for autism and homeless. Skip, we need their voices on this one. Ben Franklin said it best, Skip. He said, justice will not be served until those unaffected are as equally outraged as those who are. Skip, Dr. King was marching for years, but you remember what happened. It took those 2 Catholic priests that came down south and got murdered for the world to start opening their eyes. And then what happened on Bloody Sunday when the Edmund Pettus Bridge, and that was broadcast live on CBS, that changed the dynamic. We need some of these powerful white men and women to lend their voices to say this is enough. I've seen enough, Skip. We are part of the human race also. And for so long, we've been looked down upon. We've been treated less than. We can't look and say, well, Shannon Sharpe and LeBron James and a few are doing well, because that is the minority of the minority of the minorities. And it's not right. Now, the mayor acted quickly. He fired these guys. But justice cannot be served until somebody is incarcerated. Somebody needs to pay a penalty for taking this man's life.
Shannon Sharpe, I hear every word you just said. Every word you just said is very painful for me to try to process. As a white person in America, I'm ashamed. I'm lost. I appreciated what LeBron James just posted on Instagram with the picture of Colin Kaepernick. And yet today, Shannon, I feel like Colin Kaepernick sacrificed his NFL career for this cause for no reason. It didn't matter. Mm-hmm. It didn't have much, if any, impact. All that kneeling, all that protesting, all of which I applauded, got us nowhere. It went for naught. The gnashing of teeth, the controversy went for naught. It leaves me empty because I don't know where to turn off the Ahmaud Arbery incident that you talked about, the killing of that unarmed black man in Brunswick, Georgia, which, by the way, is about an hour's drive from where you grew up in Glenville? Another small town in Georgia.
70 minutes.
70 minutes. You know, that happened, and Tom Brady stood up, spoke out, and I said, way to go, Tom. And some other white players spoke up, spoke out, way to go. All right, that's some progress. And here we go again. So, Shannon, it's like the old expression, it's too good to be true. This is too bad to be true. It just keeps happening. It's too evil to be true. It's too awful. It's too unthinkable to even be true. It just keeps happening. After all the billions of words spoken about this issue of unarmed black men and women killed or brutalized by white cops, it just keeps happening. After the billions of words, I feel like I've spoken a billion right here on Undisputed in all my years on television. After all those words, hoping to penetrate the psyches of white cops, to make them a little bit more enlightened, a little bit more sensitive, a little bit more aware that their actions can look like racist overreactions, that their actions come across as nothing but just heartless, ruthless police brutality aimed at black people. After all that, it just keeps happening. And to your point, after Eric Garner in New York City, now we have George Floyd in Minneapolis. I can't breathe. We have another I can't breathe again. Another one. And now that list just gets longer and longer, Shannon. All these black men have become household names for the worst possible reason. I just mentioned, now we got George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, and then do I dare have to bring up Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman / George Zimmerman? And then we got Michael Brown, we know Ferguson, Missouri. Yeah, we know Eric Garner, and we know Tamir Rice, and we know Eric Harris in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we know Walter Scott in Charlotte. We can just go on. We could go on for the rest of this show. Oh, there was that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. And you can give me extenuating circumstances and blah, blah, blah. And I get it that white police officers have a difficult job, and it's a split-second reaction many times that can lose your life. I get that. But I don't get I can't breathe. I don't get it. I don't get kneeling on a man's neck when he's handcuffed face down on the pavement, and you're crunching him to where he literally can't breathe. I don't need to hear about underlying conditions. He's just choking to death on the pavement. Somebody's videotaping it and posting it. I don't know, Shannon.
Into the camera.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
He's looking into the camera,
I don't know.
Skip, with his hands in his pockets.
Yeah.
The problem is, Skip, what happened when Colin Kaepernick kneeled for the very first time, the narrative got shifted. Even though he told you why he was doing it, in order for you to frame it so you can turn the masses against Cap, you said he was disrespecting the military. You said he was disrespecting our veterans. He was disrespecting the flag. Get up so we can hear you. He stood up, and you still didn't want to hear him because you didn't like what he was talking about. And then what happened, Skip, remember I told you, if you like the message, if you like the messenger, you're more apt to receive the message. Well, they disliked the messenger from jump. So they disregarded his message. And see, now there are no consequences. Skip, a police officer, they kill a young unarmed black man. The police unions are so strong in America, guess what? He gets his job back. He doesn't do any time in jail. Pookie killed Ray Ray, he getting 25 to life. Officer John killed Pookie, he going to get his job back. See, there needs to be consequences. Instead of the city having to pay, they need to take this. When families sue, they need to take it out of the police pension. So now, all of a sudden, what you thought you was going to get at retirement is a little less than what you thought. Because there got to be consequences, Skip. There are very few people in the world that can change behavior or a pattern of behavior, bad behavior, unless there are consequences. What are the consequences when they kill these young, unarmed black men? Remember what I said, Skip? I said unarmed. Skip, he's face down. And I get it. Police work is hard. I have a lot of my college teammates that are in law enforcement. They're police officers. They work at ATF. They do all that. And I've talked to them on numerous occasions. But Skip, the amount of force that we use to subdue a young black man that's selling CDs or loose leaf cigarettes or for what they believe was a forged check. Now, what's going to happen, Skip? This is what happens, and it always happened. They're going to go back to 2000. They're going to go back to 1996 and say he skipped class or he had a shoplifting charge because now we got to make the victim, we got to victimize the victim all over again. We got to make it seem like he had a reason, like this officer knew at some point in his life he had done something wrong and he needs to be held accountable for it now. That is not the police job. You're not the judge. You're not the jury. Skip, the man is face down in the street with a 170-pound man with his knee on his neck. He's telling you, I can't breathe. My stomach hurt. You're going to kill me. Skip, he's pleading for his life. And the officer is looking in the camera, as I am now, with his hands in his pocket, unconcerned. Unconcerned. It's heartbreaking. Skip, and I'm glad Tom Brady got along with the Players Coalition. that it started with Colin Kaepernick and then Malcolm Jenkins and Anquan Bolden. They stepped on. But Tom, I don't need your name. I need your voice now. JJ, I need your voice. Aaron Rodgers, I need your voice. I need guys' voices. I need them to lend their voices to this topic. Because enough with just your name. I need them to get on board like Chris Long has gotten on board. Chris Long will voice. Chris Long will step to the forefront. And that's what we need, Skip. We need big voices. We need big corporate America voices to say, okay, enough is enough. You got to see us as your equal, Skip. The reason why it hurts you is because you view me. You view us as an equal. You don't look at us as less than. If you look at someone less than, it's easier for you to treat him as less than. And this, look, and I don't want to go, we're going to say this is, liberal this and conservative that. All I'm saying is, what I'm going to say now, Skip, is this is a manifestation of society. That's what this is.
Okay.
Just like Dr. King gave us hope, gave us something to look forward to, there's someone else that gave them someone to look down upon. That's what this is. He didn't start this. He manifested, and it gave an uprising to this. That's what this is. Nothing more than nothing less. So let's not blame him. He just gave him voice. He gave him light. Skip, this is so sad. This is so tragic. It breaks my heart that we have to talk about this. This is America in 2020. And they keep saying, well, Shannon, it's going to change. As James Baldwin once says, how much time do you need? You had 400 years. You had since 1619 at Jamestown. And you had the Civil War. Then you had Reconstruction. You had Jim Crow.
Yep.
How much more time do you need in order to fix what has been done? How do you undo it? But you want us. Well, tell us, Shannon, what should we do? You put me here. Why should I come up with a solution that you caused? You caused it. You figure it out.
Extremely well said. And allow me to add that what hurt me the most was the previous incident that I talked about, Ahmaud Arbery, happened in central Georgia, but rural Georgia, small town Georgia.
Yes.
Shannon.
Yeah.
This just happened in a city I love, Jenny City of Minneapolis, which I've always considered enlightened when it came to its treatment of African Americans and minorities. It's always been one of the more healthy environments in America. That happened in Minneapolis, not in the southern states, not in Georgia or Alabama or Mississippi, in Minneapolis. That's how far we haven't come.
Yeah, and what do we, Skip? We're 2 years removed from Philando Castile in Minneapolis. You know, Skip, they say that blacks are 12 to 13 times more likely to die at the hands of police in Minnesota than their white counterparts. Skip, you know what? You shouldn't be concerned what was captured on camera. Think about over the last 100 years, 200 years, what hasn't been captured.
Yeah.
Oh, my. And they still do it because there are no consequences. There has to be consequences that come with actions in order for it to stop and change.
Ashamed that this happened in Minneapolis, and Skip mentioned it. And I just want to point out, George Floyd lived about 5 minutes from where I grew up. Stephen Jackson, a colleague of ours, close friend, was close with George. And I just want to say, Stephen, we are sorry for your loss. We're thinking about you. We know that doesn't help the situation, but we're praying for you. We're praying for George's family. Rest in peace, George Floyd. More Undisputed after the break.
No mercy.
Welcome back to Undisputed. Heavyweight champ Tyson Fury says he received a phone call asking if he would be interested in fighting an exhibition match against Mike Tyson. Fury said he accepted the offer, but nothing materialized from it. Shannon, would you give Mike Tyson any shot against the reigning champ?
Skip, you and I have gone back and forth with this one, Skip. How do you exhibition box? Skip, we know how you can exhibition play basketball, you can play football, you can play flag, you can do baseball, you can play softball. How do you exhibition fight? How do you exhibition a collision sport like boxing or MMA? How? Now, if you're saying, okay, they're going to fight, I can't say Mike Tyson, if they were to really fight, that Mike Tyson wouldn't have a chance because he's a puncher. And anytime you have a puncher, you have a chance. But Skip, if we go to the tail of the tape, Fury is 31, Tyson is 53. Fury is 6'9", Mike Tyson is 5'10". Fury has an 85-inch reach. Mike Tyson has 71. Skip, we've never seen an advantage this lopsided in the history of the sport. Now, would I say that Mike doesn't have a chance? He has a chance. If he can get inside, land one punch, yes, he can end the fight. But I just don't see it. And I don't see how you exhibition box. And somebody needs to tell me, so what, in an exhibition boxing match, Skip, are we going to have those, Skip, you know how they used to have those celebrity boxing matches where the guy have on like 20-pound boxing gloves that's so big, you're like, what's going on here? But if you put on regulation-sized gloves and talk about, okay, what is it? Is it 3 rounds? Is it 2 rounds? Is it a round? I just don't know how you do it. But like I said, if they were to actually fight, this was a sanctioned bout, I would give Mike a chance, but I would take Fury to win the fight.
Okay, so for all your issues with this, all of them correct, your conclusion was, I think you just told me you would watch it if it happened. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'd be on the edge of my seat. I would overpay for this. I don't know what's big, $200 for pay-per-view. I'd probably pay $200 to watch. I know I would. Mike Tyson is the most controversial lightning rod in the history of boxing, in and out of the ring. Mm-hmm. And to your point, Shannon, even at 53, we see the video. He looks shockingly quick and powerful at age 53, to the point that even you, Shannon Sharpe, said, no way am I getting in the ring with that guy. Like you wouldn't exhibition box that guy. And your point to me as we ended the show yesterday was, well, who's going to dare to get in the ring with him? Well, guess who would? I know one guy, Tyson Fury will. Because to your point, he's only 31, and we just saw him absolutely annihilate Deontay Wilder. Just destroy him. Yeah. Outbox him, outpunch him, outwill him, out-everything him. And we saw head bobbing from a 6'9" man that I didn't think was possible. We saw freakish athleticism at 6'9", 254 pounds. That's the only guy on the planet Earth who I think would dare step in there and say, I got this. Tyson Fury's like, yeah, where do I sign? How want to do it tomorrow? Want to do it Thursday? Want to do it Friday? I'll do it right now. Yeah, because he's that good. And yet, you said it, and I agree with you, even at 5'10", maybe 240, 250, Mike Tyson still seems to have enough lightning in that body that, I don't know, maybe he could land one crazy punch and it'd be game on. But to your point, I don't even know what the rules would be. I don't even know what the format would be. Would it be 3 rounds? Would it be 2 rounds? Yeah. I don't know. But whatever it was, I would watch it because it's Mike Tyson. And yet, let me make this point, Shannon, and then I'm going to hand it back to you. I was there when Mike Tyson fought his last real big fight against Lennox Lewis, another tall Brit, 6'5" tall, 250 pounds. It was in Memphis, and I was right there at ringside, and that was back on June 8th of 2002. That was 18 years ago. And Mike Tyson looked like a shot fighter that night. It was a mismatch, as you well recall. And then Mike tried to fight 3 more times, and it got sadder, saddest. And then he was finished 15 years ago. And the Tyson fight against Lennox reminded me in some ways of another fight that I covered in the Bahamas. I think it was 1981. It was Ali's last fight against Trevor Berbick. I was there at ringside of that one. They had cowbells between rounds to start and end the round. In the Bahamas, it was really sad. And Muhammad was a shot fighter. He had nothing left. and he managed to stay on his feet through 10 rounds. It was only a 10 round. And he lost a unanimous decision to Trevor Berbick. And it was a terribly sad end. And I saw another shot fighter. Well, the difference now is Mike Tyson, 18 years after Lennox Lewis, I think he's had a rebirth. I know he's had addiction issues, and I think he got his act together. I think he cleaned himself up.
Right.
I think he got his head together a little bit. I've seen him a couple of times in the last year, and he seemed different to me. Seemed happier, fresher, more aware, more with us now instead of somewhere else. And Shannon,
Right.
I don't know. Maybe there's been such a turnaround in his life that he's having sort of a second act, if you will, at age 53. But
Yeah.
Tyson Fury, it'd probably be a mismatch, but hey, who else is going to get in the ring with him?
Well, Skip, I still believe even with Mike Tyson and Tyson Fury, it still might do 1 million, 2 million buys, even with those two guys. And Mike Tyson, as you said, hadn't fought in 15 years. The reason why I would take Tyson Fury, Skip, is because he's a boxer. He's technically sound. And he has a reach advantage. So he's going to jab, and overhand right. And the thing is, Tyson has to somehow find a way to get inside. Well, when you're 6'9", and you have an 85 reach, so you got a foot height advantage and an over a foot reach advantage, Skip, you should be able to keep him off of you, because the only chance you have of losing this fight is him getting inside, him coming. Because the thing with Tyson, Skip, he was so quick. He would hit you to the body with that left, and at the same time, body uppercut, and it's out. He could do that as well as it. And you're talking about a guy with that size, that kind of power. Now, Ali had that kind of quickness, Skip, but Ali didn't have that kind of power. George Foreman had that power, but he didn't have that quickness. You're talking about light heavyweights that had that kind of speed. Floyd Patterson, Muhammad Ali. But as you moved up, Skip, and you got guys with power, they didn't have quickness. Mike Tyson had quickness. It's the punches you don't see, Skip, that get you out of the ring. And Mike Tyson could body shot you and come with the uppercut and get guys out of the ring. So if he could land a punch on Fury, oh, absolutely. And I don't believe he'll get up like he got up from Deontay Wilder. I believe if Tyson caught him with that left, I don't believe he'd get up like he got up with Wilder. But the question is, Skip, could he absorb enough punishment to get inside and to land a couple of those shots to chop that giant redwood down? I don't believe he could, Skip, but I damn sure pay to watch it.
Well, the point is, Shannon, you're taking it seriously. You're actually analyzing what you think would happen. So you're not laughing it off. You're not scoffing.
No.
Yeah, you're saying you'd watch. I'm saying I'd watch.
Yes, absolutely.
We had the story yesterday that the bare knuckle, whatever they're called, organization,
right?
They're offering $20 million for Mike Tyson to fight bare knuckle for them. Okay, we both agreed we'd watch that. But we said, who's going to go bare knuckle against Mike Tyson? I don't know, unless it's Tyson Fury. Would he go bare knuckle? He probably would, because he thinks he could defend himself, and he probably could. But if they're bare knuckle, then even more so, I would give Tyson a puncher's chance, because if he got one shot through 6'9" reach, if he got one shot, one uppercut up under the jaw, one shot, maybe the giant redwood falls. I'm there. I'm ready. So again, Tyson Fury was like, it just didn't materialize, but hell yeah, he said, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
So we're ready to go. So let's do it.
Nobody, Skip, brought the crowd to the yard like Mike Tyson. Skip, it was an extravaganza. It was an event to see that man fight. Now, you never knew. You better not come late. Like you come to some fighters, Skip, you come in the third round, the fourth round. You come to his fight late, you just spent $10,000 for nothing, because he was going to probably end it within the first 2-3 rounds. And so you had to get into your seat, and you had to see that intro. The man had a cutout towel, black trunks, no socks, and black boots. Skip, and he come to the ring, and you knew that's the baddest man in the world right there. And to watch him and to feel the atmosphere, the electricity. And I've seen some big fights. You know, I saw Floyd fight, and I saw a lot of guys fight. Shane Mosley, Holyfield, I've seen a lot of guys fight. But nothing like this kid. Nothing like this man here, Skip. It was unbelievable what he brought in the electricity that was in the building when he fought.
And nobody has ever been more self-destructive than Mike Tyson either. And hopefully that part's behind
no question.
No mercy.
If the NBA resumed the season with a limited number of games, Blazers guard Damian Lillard said he isn't playing. The five-time All-Star said he wouldn't play in meaningless games if Portland did not have a true opportunity to make the playoffs. The Blazers are currently 3.5 games behind the ace spot. Shannon, is this inbound or out of bounds for him to say?
I think it's out of bounds, and it's a very bad look for Dame. And I like Dame Lillard. I like Dollar a lot, Skip. He's big time. He's clutch. He can make big shots. He's not afraid of the moment. He doesn't back down from anyone. I love what he does in his community. I love how he's like, I'm going to stay in Portland. I'm going to try to build a championship team in Portland. I love what he's done for his community and what his family. But he's wrong on this one, Skip. So you mean to tell me 66 games wasn't an opportunity enough? You played in those games, Dame. You can't say if we don't mathematically have a realistic chance, or whatever the phrasing that he used, Skip, is that, hold on, so you're going to practice, but come game time, you're going to sit on the bench. Are you going to collect that check? So do they get to withhold the check? Because if they do, I'm sure that'd be a fair trade-off. But it's a bad look for him to say, well, unless we have a mathematic chance. And I understand, just reading some of the scenarios, Skip, I think the NBA has a 70 game to be able to fulfill their regional obligation with the amount of games they put on. So we don't know if they're going to play the last 15 to 20 ball games, or they play 4 or 5 to fulfill their obligation and then go into this 1 through 16 or however they're going to do it. Somebody's going to be disappointed no matter how it shapes out, Skip. But sometimes we're in an unprecedented situation. You have to do unprecedented things to get out of that situation. But I think this is a bad look for Dame. It sends a very, very bad message. You can't have your star players that are on good teams that likely might miss the playoffs saying, well, if we don't have a realistic chance to make it, I'm not going to play. Well, you had 66 games to be in a better position than what you're in. So I think it sends a bad message, and I'm going to disagree with Dame on this one.
I'm going to agree with you, but for a different reason than you just gave.
Okay.
I also like Damian a lot. I like him on the court. I like him off the court. Like everything he's done on and off. Get all that. But I do not love this. Seems like fairly routinely, Damian Lillard suddenly speaks out as if he's Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or even LeBron James. like he's a superstar. And I keep asking myself, when exactly did Dame Dollar become that guy to be able to speak out the way he speaks out? Because we saw him, it seems like ages ago, but just the last time the NBA had playoffs, a year ago, they did make it to the conference final against Golden State. And all I know is in 4 straight fourth quarters, Dame Dollar was Dame Nickel. I mean, he just shrank. He disappeared. I look at the numbers in 4 straight fourth quarters against Golden State, and they had chances in those games.
Oh, they
he
had
went
big leads,
7
yeah.
of 23. Yeah, he went 7 of 23 in those 4 fourth quarters combined. So he only made 7 shots in 4 fourth quarters. That's 30%. He made 5 of 16 three-point attempts, so he made 5 threes in 4 fourth quarters. That's 31%. And his plus-minus for the 4 fourth quarters was minus 28. Minus 28. So, Dame, what have you done? Show me the credentials whereby you can say, I'm above that. That's beneath me. I can't. Look, Shannon, if Damian had spoken out and said, I just don't think it's safe enough, I don't want to get sick, you got me. But that's not what he was talking about.
Yes.
No, he's talking about it's beneath me. I'm this guy, and you can't ask me to go to wherever, Orlando, Disney World, wherever it's going to be. You can't make me go there with my team and actually play basketball for nothing. Well, Damian, it's potentially not for nothing It is, because you do earn, as Shannon pointed out, you earn a real sweet check, and your regional TV market is very important to your ownership. So, again, those people are going to be on their edge of their seats because you got Nurkic back, you got Zach Collins back. Let's say you play, 10 more games. What if you won 8 of them against high-level competition? What if you could use that as a launching pad, springboard into next year? I don't know. It could happen.
Right.
Where everybody look back on those 10 games you played for nothing, quote unquote, and with Nurkic and with Zach Collins, all of a sudden everything clicked, and you said, "Look out! Here we come next year." Well, so you say, "I want to be with my team. I'll go sit on the bench," but I'm not. It's beneath my dignity to actually walk on the floor and play basketball. That's just wrong. I'm with Shannon on this one. Shannon, you can't say that publicly when this league is teetering right now, and there's so much money that's already been lost and so much sort of goodwill and credibility, and we're all teetering, man. Damian, we're all teetering.
Right.
We're
right.
Everybody at FS1, it's tough right now. It's tough for baseball.
Very.
It's tough for the NFL. It's time to do your part, and don't try to knock down the process and pull everybody back down into your sort of egomaniacal view of I'm Dame Dollar. I mean, seriously, Shannon, in the end, I know this is going to come off as harsh, but there are times I think Damian is a better rapper than he is a fourth quarter player in the biggest games, because he is really good. He's the best athlete rapper I've ever heard. I give you that. But does that qualify you as a Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James? No, it does not. So it was a little offensive to me to hear these comments.
I agree with you, Skip. And just because you're a big player in the league and you have a platform, that doesn't mean you should stand up and voice everything. That some things, Skip, you just keep to yourself. Man, I really don't want to play. I don't feel like it, but I'm gonna go out here and give it. You're saying this to yourself, but for him to verbalize that public, Skip, as you said, if he has an underlying condition, I think if I'm not mistaken, Larry Nance Jr. says, I'm concerned, but he has an underlying condition. There is cause for concern. But to say, because I'm not going to come out here and play in no meaningless games, you played 66 meaningful games that you turned into meaningless games by the way your team played. Now, all of a sudden, we've been out of commission for 8, 9, 10 weeks. They're trying to scramble to try to start this, start America back. And you're like, nah, I'm good. You know, I'll practice and I come sit with him on the bench, but I'm not playing. Like, I'm too good for that. Huh? When?
Yeah. Okay.
What? He got still, what them 10 rings that he got? He must be Bill Russell.
No. So, Shannon, final point, just in fairness, just for the record, Damian also said if they do have a chance to play their way into a postseason tournament, whatever that would be, he was all in on that. And he said, we might have a chance with Nurkic and Zach Collins back to go steal some you-know-what, meaning we might just find ourselves in the conference finals and be able to beat somebody who's not ready to beat us because of the short time to get ready for this, however abbreviated tournament they would have. Okay, that's good. Love that. Just in fairness. Yep, go ahead.
But you do understand they have a short time to get prepared with Zach Collins and Nurkic also. They make it seem like they've been preparing with these guys for the whole year, and they're just going to spring this trap on everybody else. You got to get used to playing with those guys also, because you've been playing a different brand of basketball without a true low-post player. So now, so what are you going to start? Nurkic and Whiteside with you, Melo, and CJ? So it's going to take you guys some time to get used to that. But Dame, you don't get to set how the NBA is going to come back. You are a player. No. Yes, Commissioner Silver, Adam Silver will ask his superstars their input. But for you to say, yeah, I'll play if it's 7-12 match, you got to play your way in, I'm down for that. But if I got to come back and play and the games are meaningless, there are no meaningless games. You don't know how many more of these things you got. Treasure every last one of them, Dame. Treasure every last one of them.
Got it.
I think you're an unbelievable player.
Well said.
But I'm going to disagree. You're wrong on this one, bro.
No mercy.
During the Last Dance documentary, Michael Jordan denied the rumor that he had kept Isiah Thomas off the Dream Team. But audio has now come out of Jordan telling NBA reporter Jack McCallum that he wouldn't play if Isiah was on the team. So, Shannon, what do you make of this?
What? Jed, I know he didn't say that. Now, either am I supposed to believe Michael Jordan or my lying ears? Now, he sat up there and cried and talked about, if you don't want to play this way, I pushed and I dragged guys. You lied. And I told Skip Bayless you were lying. And I told Skip Bayless Rod Thorne sit up there and told a bold-faced lie. I said, Skip, if he didn't explicitly say, he implicitly implied it. Come to find out, he said it. This is a quote from Michael Jordan. Rod Thorne called me. I said, Rod, I won't play if Isiah Thomas is on the team. He assured me. He said, you know what? Chuck doesn't want Isiah. So Isiah is not going to be a part of the team. They didn't ask him about Chuck. They didn't ask him about Patrick Ewing. They didn't ask him about Stockton, Malone, or Chuck. They didn't ask him. They said, did you? He said no. Come to find out, he lied. And you know what, Skip? Michael Jordan was the only guy that mattered. You know that. So in other words, he did keep Isiah Thomas. And Isiah Thomas should have the vitriol and the dislike for Michael Jordan, not Michael Jordan for Isiah. You kept this man with a blank on his resume because he would have made the 8 Olympic team, Skip. They got boycotted. They went to Moscow. So he potentially could have had a gold medal. You kept this man off that team, Mike. So now, Skip, you know when you utter one lie, I get to call into question everything else you've ever uttered. Because when do I know that you're telling the truth? Now, we know he'll lie. We know he dry snitched. Talk about guys up in their room with girls and all that other stuff. Ain't nobody ask you all that. No comment. Oh, dry snitching lying Mike.
So, are you suggesting that this proves it once and for all that LeBron is the GOAT? Is this what you're reaching for? Is this the little thread that you're hanging your argument on?
No.
It's a tiny little thread. The Isiah thread is why you're saying LeBron is the GOAT and not Jordan?
No, I just want you to admit, I want you to admit publicly for all our 20 million fans to say Michael Jordan lied and you were wrong that he did keep Isiah off that team. That's all I want. If you do that, that's all I want, Skip Bayless. That's all I want.
There were some semantics going on in the answer Jordan gave on The Last Dance. There was some plausible deniability going on there. But in the end, it really didn't matter exactly what Michael Jordan thought because nobody wanted Isiah. You keep trying to pin this whole thing on Michael Jordan when you should pin it on the entire team starting with Magic Johnson, who at that point in 1992 had more clout than Michael Jordan did. Allow me, before you go on, to read the quote out of Magic's book. Magic did a book with Jackie McMullen with Larry Bird about when the game was ours. That's the title of the book. And in it, I'm going to read the quote from Magic Johnson about the Isiah controversy. Isiah killed his own chances when it came to the Olympics. Nobody on that team wanted to play with him. I'm sad for Isiah. He has alienated so many people in his life, and he still doesn't get it. This is from Magic Johnson, and he concludes, you should be aware when you've ticked off more than half the NBA. That's his concluding statement about Isiah Thomas, that you're gnashing teeth over, that you're having, your heart is broken for poor Isiah, when even the great David Robinson spoke out 2 weeks ago. David Robinson, who never said a cross word about anybody, the Admiral, and he just laughed at this whole notion saying, no, we didn't want him because chemistry matters when you're trying to go win the world championship.
Oh, man, stop it. Chemistry wouldn't matter in that
Isiah
situation.
didn't fit in their chemistry. It didn't work. So let's go to these. Yeah.
Can I ask you one question before you go on?
Yeah, go ahead.
If Michael Jordan says, Rod Thorne, I'm not playing in the Olympics unless Isiah is on that team, would it have mattered that Charles Barkley, David Robinson, and Magic Johnson, would it have mattered if they say they don't want to play with Isiah if Jordan says, I'm not playing unless he's on that team? A simple yes or a simple no. I don't need semantics. A simple yes or a simple no. Would it have mattered?
No. I mean, I don't think Magic could have killed the deal. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to this quote. All right. Let's go to what Jordan actually said on The Last Dance about this controversy. He said that Rod Thorne, who, by the way, did draft him when Rod was running the Bulls in 1984, Rod Thorne calls and says, hey, we would love you to play for the Dream Team. And Michael says back to him, who's all playing? And then Michael goes on to say that Rod Thorne answers, what does that mean? I say, who's all playing? He says, well, the guy you're talking about or you're thinking about, he's not going to be playing. So semantics are going on here, plausible deniability. This is on The Last Dance. He's actually telling you that they're talking about Isiah without talking about Isiah. Michael's point was the name itself didn't actually need to be brought up because everybody knew who they were talking about. Nobody on the team wanted Isiah.
Skip. That's not what he said to Jack McCallum.
Okay.
That's not what he said.
Okay, but he says in those lost tapes, Jack McCallum, longtime friend of mine, great reporter, I buy this 1,000%. So Michael's talking off the cuff to Jack McCallum. I think these are like 1992 tapes. I don't know when they're from. Maybe they're just from recently. I'm not sure. But they're older tapes. And the point is in the tape that he says Chuck doesn't want Isiah. And at first I thought he meant Charles Barkley. He means Chuck Daly, the head coach. So we could even throw the head coach on this list of people on that team and in that selection process who did not want Isiah Thomas. Chuck Daly, no. Magic, no.
I don't believe that, Skip. So now, hold on, wait a minute, Skip. Hold on. I'm not finna let you do that man like this. That man is not here to defend himself. Now, so many times we'll say things that people saying that are not here or not in a position to defend themselves. Now you're going to talk about Chuck Daly. The man had just won Chuck Daly 2 titles, and now Chuck Daly can't stand the man. Chuck Daly doesn't want to coach the man. Y'all need to stop this. Michael Jordan said, I said, Rod, I will not play. I won't play if Isiah Thomas is on the team. He assured me that Isiah would not be on that team. So, Skip, stop dealing with semantics. Now, we can deal with semantics and say, Shannon Sharpe is a dark complexion fella. I'm black. Ain't no semantics. Call it what it is. I'm a big black guy. Ain't no dark-skinned fella. I'm black. I'm tired of these semantics. Get it? Skip Bayless, you think you slick. You won't admit it. I need you to...
Black and white. Black and white is nobody on that team wanted Isiah Thomas. Black and white. That's it. There's no gray area. Nobody on the team wanted him. And by the way, speaking of the great Chuck Daly, all right, go.
All I'm saying is, Skip, the only guy that mattered was Michael. He was the only guy that mattered because guess what, Skip? Nobody else had a gold medal. Mike already had one. He said it. I already had a gold medal from 84. Nobody else on the team had one because after that, Skip, because at 88, David Robinson lost. He got the bronze. Remember, Skip? They got beat. That's what made them start sending the pros to the Olympics. They got the bronze in 88. They boycotted in 80. They won the Olympics in 84 because they was held right here in L.A. 88, they lost in Seoul. 92 in Barcelona. So the only guy that mattered was Michael Jordan. You know it. And he kept that man off it. He got a hole in that man's resume. I hope he sleep good at night. I hope he sleep real good at night knowing what you did.
Time out. Okay, so they chose as the backup point guard to Magic Johnson, John Stockton. All he did in his career was set unbreakable records for assists and steals. Unbreakable. I don't see how any human will ever eclipse John Stockton's assists and steals. So he's the backup. He soon broke his leg. He healed much quicker than they thought. But the backup to the backup, next in line on the depth chart was somebody from Detroit not named Isiah Thomas. It was Joe Dumars. Everybody wrote that the next man up for the backup point guard was Joe Dumars. I've told you from the start, Isiah was seen as more of a two guard than a point guard. So Joe Dumars was next, but no, he was a two guard masquerading as a point guard. He could distribute pretty well, but what he did best was score the basketball. And in the end, when it came down to the final cut, they announced that it came down to actually a two-guard final cut between Clyde Drexler and Isiah Thomas. Two guards. And in the end, they picked Clyde Drexler just because he's taller, longer, a little better defender maybe than Isiah. But in the end, it's personality. The ultimate bad boy, Piston, was Isiah. Difficult to get along with. As Magic said, Magic was close friends with Isiah. Remember, they used to kiss each other before those finals games. And even Magic turned on Isiah and said, I can't defend him. He's alienated half the league. And he had alienated the whole team in 1992.
You know what I find so funny? You know what I find so funny about this? Is that Magic and Larry, Larry, they didn't say anything about Larry, but Magic and Jordan, the guys that had that ruthless mentality to win at all costs, despised the very guy that would win at all costs. A 6'9", a 6'6" guy despised the 6-foot guy that had the same mentality they had, and they held it against him. That's it, Skip. Was Isiah the player they were? No, but he had the same mentality they had, and they held that against him.
Wait a second. It's not the same mentality because Isiah personally offended and alienated people in ways that Jordan and Magic never did. People might have hated Jordan just because he was a ruthless competitor, but not because he was a jerk. I'm talking about winning on the basketball court.
Skip, I'm talking about winning on the basketball court. I'm talking about take no prisoners, kiss my butt mentality on the court. Like Jordan had that same mentality with his teammates. So you know what he had against his opponent. You said Magic was ruthless and cutthroat. Isiah saw that. He saw Magic. He's been chasing Magic since 1981. And he finally caught up with him. In 1989, he finally caught Magic. And now the very thing that Magic had over him was the mentality. And the same thing that Jordan had over basically everybody else, the mentality. Isiah displayed that, and they held it against him. You can use semantics. You can say nobody liked him. It doesn't matter, Skip. Guess what? I don't care if nobody else is FS1 like me. I just need you to like me. That's all that matters. You, as long as Skip Bayless ride with me,
Sharpe.
I'm good. Damn. That's my dog. I'm counting on Skip. Man. Skip, you with your boy?
Yeah.
No, Skip, everybody else again. Skip, are you with your boy? Okay, then we good.
I am with you. I love you, man, but I'm not going to let you get away from grasping some weak thread to discredit Michael Jeffrey Jordan from being the GOAT that he is. This is semantical, plausible deniability on your part, trying to reach for a little tiny thread to say, see, LeBron is the GOAT. No, he's not.
No, Skip, I told you whatever would come out of this documentary that did not relate to basketball would not change my perception of Michael Jordan. It has not. It will not. So no, him not telling the truth about Isiah and keeping him off the team does not change my perception of Mike. It does not. He told the story though.
You are stubborn over there, Shannon. Jeez. Riled up. I have a feeling. Keep the energy for this next one.
No mercy.
Time for a hot topic of the day, sponsored by Burger King. 8 spicy chicken nuggets for just $1. Well, we got to talk about the Cowboys because last season they were tied for last place in the NFL with the most dropped passes by receivers. This included Michael Gallup and Randall Cobb, who finished in the top 10 for most drops. The 3 years prior, Dallas had never been worse than 7th when it came to drops. And I know, Skip, this gave you nightmares, but Shannon, how do you explain it?
Drops are more about concentration. It's more mental than coaching. Sometimes guys will drop passes if they don't get the ball often enough, and then they feel when the ball comes to them, they need to do something with the football in order to validate, so the coaches will give them more opportunities. And you see that a lot. You see a lot of guys turn their head, start to run before they secure the ball. So this is not a mental thing. This is not coaching. But I hope we don't think those first 2 plays that you showed in that package, Jenny, are drops, do we? Are we calling those drops? Because the thing is, what I love when people say, oh, what's the saying? If you get your hands on it, you should have caught it. Says the people that never caught a pass. The thing is, Skip, when you look at this, yes, are there passes that should have been caught? Absolutely. But if you go back over the course of the year, there's also passes that were caught that maybe should have been dropped. So you got to factor those in also. It seems to me that everybody just wants to factor in the plays that were not made. But what about the plays that probably shouldn't have been made that were made? That goes to winning. You see, this is what gets you guys every year, Skip Bayless. Somebody will come out with stats like this, and it will convince your delusional fans. See, I told you, we should have been 12-4. We should have won the division, and we should have been playing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Y'all do that every year. You've been doing it for 25 years. Let me know how that worked out for you the next 25 years.
So I can explain all those drops last year with 2 words. Jason and Garrett. Jason Garrett. Right. He was responsible. He was the reason for all those drop passes. Shannon Sharpe. In the end, it is about not just coaching, but the tone set by your coach. Jason Garrett was Coach Clap, as I nicknamed him. Jason Garrett would watch a big touchdown catch, and he would just keep clapping and butt slapping. And then he'd watch yet another drop, and as the team came off the field, he'd just keep clapping and butt slapping the guy who dropped the pass. Jason Garrett created no urgency, no fear of retribution, no fear of hell to pay if you dropped another pass. There was little to no weekly focus. There was no lock-in. There was zero Jimmy Johnson Memorial fear factor in that locker room. So I told you from the start, Jason Garrett, really good at preparing a football team from Wednesday until through Saturday. On Sunday, he couldn't motivate a rodeo bull in the chute. It was hard to watch because I covered Jimmy Johnson's teams. Jimmy Johnson was hell to pay. If you started dropping balls for Jimmy Johnson, you're going to have a hurricane in your face on the sideline. You're going to stay after practice to run sprints. I don't know, you just might get your butt cut because that's the way Jimmy operated, and they knew it. They were scared to death of that man. I used to be in the locker room during media availability at lunchtime, and if that head coach with that hair, if he happened to just wander through the locker room, everybody just stopped talking and shrank back in their lockers and looked sideways like, I hope I didn't do something. I hope it wasn't me. They feared him. They locked in for him. They stayed focused for him. And Jason Garrett created the softest environment in the National Football League. In the end, I just told you a couple of weeks ago, over the last decade, no team in the NFL had more Pro Bowl players than the Dallas Cowboys over the previous 10 years. What? So routinely, including going into last year, I thought Dallas had the most talented team in football. Last year, they were the mentally softest team. I told you Jason Garrett should have been gone long ago. I told you 8 years ago I was calling for his job. He's very good at keeping Jerry Jones happy. That's what he did the best. He'd keep Jerry involved with the game plan. He'd welcome him into team meetings or coach meetings or whatever. Jerry could always be a part of the team because Jason coexisted beautifully with Jerry Jones, who treated him like another son. It was hard for Jerry to even let go of Jason in the bitter end until he finally fell in love with Mike McCarthy. So, Shannon, I don't think they'll drop quite as many balls next year because I do think Mike McCarthy's a little tougher coach than Jason Garrett ever thought about being. Again, a lot of people think Mike McCarthy, a tough guy from Pittsburgh. There was one quote in the Bleacher Report article, the big expose about Aaron Rodgers, in which some anonymous source referred to Mike McCarthy as a fake tough guy. And to your point that you keep bringing up, on Saturdays during walkthroughs, he was often up in his office getting a massage. Maybe that's fake tough guy, but I'll still take him over Jason Garrett. And my final point to you is CeeDee Lamb last year at the University of Oklahoma dropped all of 3 passes. He will drop no more than 3 this coming year with the Cowboys because he is a baller. And I believe that will start rubbing off on everybody, starting with Michael Gallup, who, according to The Athletic stats, he led the league in drops last year with 13. That can't fly, man. You're not that good to drop 13 balls, if in fact that's what it was in the end. Everybody has different sort of drop stats that they use. But even Zeke, was his mind all there after he got his money? Zeke dropped 6 passes last year. He dropped 5 in his first 3 years. Mental focus, no fear of head coach. Mind not always in the game and on the game. I'm sorry, that's what it was. Jason Garrett.
No, you talk about Jimmy because you had one mind, you had one voice emanating from the locker room. You see, you have 2 voices now, Jason Garrett and you have Jerry Jones. The players are unafraid of Jason Garrett because they know they can go behind Jason Garrett's back and go to Jerry Jones. Therein lies the problem. Skip, I can't discipline you if I know I'm going to get yelled at by my superior. And that's what happened. See, Jimmy didn't have to answer to anybody. And you know that. That's how it was in Denver with Mike. We knew Mike was the end-all, be-all. Mr. Bolin turned it over to him. He was the general manager. He was the head coach. You came the time that Mike said. You got off when Mike said it. We understood that. But Jerry didn't want that. Jerry wanted to have a voice. And in the process of having a voice, his voice started overshadowing the head coach's voice that should be the voice that's emanating in the locker room. So this is Jerry's fault that there was no accountability. There was just Jerry's fault that the coach can't get on the players like he should. Because Jerry no longer wanted Jimmy to have that kind of control. I want in. Let me tag me in. I want to say something. Jimmy's like, no. Only the head coach addressed the team. Jerry wasn't addressing no team like he doing now. He in the locker room. He leading the prayer. He say, good job, guys, at the end of the day. Okay, there were occasions that Mr. Bolin, there were occasions that Art Modell might say something, but that was few and far between. Not every game. Therein lies your problem, Skip Bayless. The question I have for you, is he going to let Mike McCarthy coach and let Mike run the show, or is he want to overshadow, or does he want to be the face of the Cowboys? Because if he does, you're going to be in the same situation that you've been in since Jimmy left.
I don't have an answer to that. I like what I've seen so far. I'm waiting to see what I see when the real games start. Okay. You're probably right. I just think by nature, Mike McCarthy is a little tougher, mentally, sort of emotionally tougher. He's more of a driving football coach than Jason Garrett was. Jason was pure players coach. Jason was a decent player, a backup quarterback who had a couple of big moments, one against your brother's team on Thanksgiving Day, the Packers, obviously. And Jason was pretty good. Jason knew the ropes. He knew how to do it. He knew how to play. He knows how to deal with football players to a fault. He was too nice a guy. I don't think Mike McCarthy will get as close to the players. So I'm hoping there'll be a little bit of new fear factor, maybe from Mike Nolan on the defensive side, a little bit of new urgency created. But Shannon, in the end, I look at the numbers that got put up by the offense last year. Just quickly for the record, they were number 1 in total offense, number 2 in passing offense, number 2 in third down offense, number 2 in explosive pass plays and in explosive plays, period. And they went 8-8. They did too many bad things. They didn't take the ball away enough. They dropped way too many passes. And Dak missed too many throws by his lofty standards that would have changed or won games. So something was missing psychologically, and it's the culture that Jason created. And to your point, and I give you this, ultimately it's Jerry's fault because he stuck with Jason Garrett to a fault. So in the end, they need to have a new sheriff. They have to have a new upgraded culture. I'm hoping that a guy like CeeDee Lamb will walk in the door and say, hell with all this. I'm going out there to play football, and if you guys want to come along, join me. That's what I hope happens.
Well, Skip, to be honest with you, sometimes drops are contagious because I've been in games in 2 different locations in Denver and in Baltimore, and one guy dropped the ball on first down, and another guy dropped the ball on second down, and another guy dropped the ball on third down. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? And then I've seen situations where one guy make a tough catch, and then for the rest of the game, everybody's making acrobatic catches. So maybe that happened. But I still believe that concentration plays the biggest factor in catching as opposed to coaching.
No mercy.
Tom Brady is going to like his new receiving group. According to Bleacher Report, the Buccaneers' Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are the top receiving duo in the NFL. Shannon, how much better will they make Brady than he was last season?
Well, I expect them to help Tom a lot, Skip. They're big body guys. They can make tough, contested catches where he had small receivers and he had to fit it in. Tom doesn't have to be perfect now, and I think that helps a lot. Skip, as we get older, we need more help. It's just as simple as that. And that doesn't take away from Tom's greatness or what he's accomplished in the past. But as we get older and we are still in sports, we need more help. And so I think these guys they will help Tom more than Tom will help them. See, this notion that, for all the other receivers, Tom Brady, people want you to believe that Tom Brady made Randy Moss. Randy Moss was a made man before he set one foot in New England. He was the freak. He was mossing people long before Tom Brady even got into the NFL. You know that, I know that. And we might not ever see a receiver that have 17 touchdown receptions in a rookie season. That's what Randy Moss put up in a rookie season. So I think Godwin and Mike Evans and all these guys, Skip, the tight ends crew with Gronk and Braid and O.J. Howard, they will help huge for Tom because Tom now does not have to be perfect. He's not throwing to 5'8", 5'9", 6-foot receivers. Those guys are 6'5", 6'2", 6'6", that can make tough, huge catch radius and will help Tom Brady immensely. This is what Tom needed. Great weather, great receiving core. This should help him a lot.
By the way, nobody ever said that Tom Brady made Randy Moss. Obviously, you're right. Randy was all the way a made man in Minnesota. He had one bad year where he basically quit on the Oakland Raiders, which is how Bill Belichick was able to steal him. But Randy and Tom made each other. They made each other record setters in 2007.
Correct.
So let's stop it with that notion because nobody started that narrative except you to make it an anti-Brady narrative. And it's bogus and phony, and you know it. Okay, now, Tom Brady just went from the worst receiving core and a below-average offensive line in New England to an embarrassment of riches in Tampa. Nobody in the history of quarterbacking has spread the wealth better than Tom Brady. Nobody can get more receivers involved in any single one game than Tom Brady has, where he'll get 9 or 10 receivers involved. Now he has 9 or 10 worthy of being a few catches, 5, 6, 7 catches in any one game. And he will do just that. So what I loved about the story we're referring to is because the Bucs went 7-9 last year, Shannon, I lost touch with just how great Mike Evans and Chris Godwin were and have been. Do you realize, speaking of Randy Moss, only one other receiver in the history of this league in his first 5 years in the league has gone over 1,000 yards receiving. That's Mike Evans. He tied Randy Moss at 5 last year. If he goes to 6 this year, which he's got a good shot at doing now that he's got the GOAT thrown to him, that would make him the all-timer with 6 straight right out of the gate 1,000-yard receiving seasons. And then if you look at Chris Godwin's numbers, you look hard at his numbers last year, he was the most productive receiver per play, per target in the NFL. I mean, I look at Michael Thomas's numbers. Yeah, he caught 149 balls, but he got 185 thrown to him. Quietly in Tampa, a guy made the Pro Bowl named Chris Godwin, and he caught only 86 balls, but on only 121 targets. So Michael Thomas got 185. Chris Godwin got 64 fewer passes thrown to him, yet he wound up 3rd in the league in yards caught passing, just in overall passing yards, receiving yards, was Chris Godwin with 1,333. That's because he averaged 15.5 a catch to Michael Thomas's 11.6. Wow, that's 4 yards a catch more for the unknown, unsung Chris Godwin in Tampa. So all of a sudden, you got those two guys doing not good things, but great things on the outside. I told you, you've got little Scotty Miller, who's just a rookie out of Bowling Green last year. He caught 13 balls. Watch, that will triple this year because he has supreme short area quickness. He'll be the Edelman Amendola out of the slot. Then you add Gronk to O.J. Howard, who will come out of the doghouse thanks to Tom Brady, and Cameron Brate, who's a great red zone target. And who's the best screen pass thrower in pro football? It's Tom Brady. So all of a sudden, wait a second, watch Ronald Jones start catching screens, but watch my little big man out of Vanderbilt, Keyshawn Vaughn, stole him in the 3rd round of this draft. Watch Keyshawn Vaughn catch screen passes from Tom Brady. Watch him turn into James White. Weapons everywhere. And watch Tom Brady turn back into Tom Brady. Watch Shannon Sharpe every Monday on Undisputed, 9:30 Eastern. Watch the horror on his face as he has to eat a whole nother big plate of fried crow thanks to Tampa Bay Tom Brady.
Can I ask you a question, Skip? When Chris Godwin, who finished 3rd in receiving yards on such few catches, averaged over 13 yards a catch, what does that mean? He's catching a lot of what? In order for him to have that high receiving average, what must Tom Brady be willing to do? Look down the barrel, stand there and take a few of them right to the chops. Is he going to be able to do that? Is he going to be willing? We saw over the last couple of years him starting to flinch more. They mentioned in Pro Football Focus, they mentioned it in the other publications that he was starting to flinch, Skip. You won't mention that. But I think we need to give Jameis more credit. Jameis is a little more athletic than we give him credit for. Now, he reminds you, I think it was a perfect situation, Skip, because his offensive coordinator, that's who he reminded me of, Byron Leftwich. They had the same kind of mobility, had kind of like the same extended throwing motion, but Jameis could get out of harm's way and throw the ball over people's head. So we didn't give him nearly enough credit for doing that. The question is, it remains, is Tom Brady willing and able to take a few of those big shots a game? That is the question, Skip. He has the talent that can make those plays. More talent than he's had in a very, very long time. I can see that. But the question is he willing to take those shots, to stand in there and to push the ball down the field?
The answer is no, because he will not have to. He will get rid of the ball much quicker than Jameis did. I remind you, Jameis turned the ball over 35 times last year. That's 12 more times than any other quarterback in the league. Tom Brady turned it over a grand total of 9 times for a pretty sorry New England offense featuring no supporting cast and a below-average offensive line. 35
That's what they
to
were saying,
9?
Skip.
You don't think, wait a second.
Coach Belichick said, we could have got better play out of our quarterback. We might have had the number 1 seed. That's what Coach Belichick was thinking. You thinking about his sorry supporting cast. Coach Belichick said, what about my sorry lead actor? Huh? That what Coach Belichick said. That what he say. I don't know. That what he say, though.
Well, what I say is, did you notice who the Bucs traded up for and nabbed or stole at number 13 in the first round?
Yeah, they got Tristan
Wirfs out of Iowa. Woo!
Yeah.
Oh, wait a second. So he plugs right in at right tackle, and all of a sudden you shore up the offensive line. It's going to be a little better than what he had to work with and hide behind last year in New England. You are in big trouble, my friend.
But, Skip, to maximize, Skip, that's like, if you buy a big house, if you're not entertaining, if you buy a 30,000 square foot house and you're not entertaining, you lose the value really of the house. Why would somebody, just 2 people that don't entertain, need a house that size? If Tom Brady is not going to take advantage of what he has with Evans and Godwin, which can push the ball down the field, that can make tough contested catches down the field, what's the benefit of him dinking and dunking like he did in New England?
When he has it, he will throw it. Just watch and weep.
No mercy.
Tonight on FS1, the NASCAR season continues live from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Catch all the action. The NASCAR Cup Series, sponsored by Geico, beginning at 8 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. So, former welterweight champion boxer Shawn Porter said that he would rather have Manny Pacquiao's career than Floyd Mayweather's undefeated career. Porter said Pacquiao's fights were battles, and he was also more well-respected as a fighter. So, Shannon, what do you got? Does he have a point?
Well, Skip, I can't tell him how he would feel, but I would rather have Floyd Mayweather's career, Skip. And a lot of fighters do not like the way Floyd approached the fight. Floyd came to win, not necessarily fight. And you can't argue with the results, Skip. 50-0 and the first boxer to accumulate $1 billion in prize, in winnings. So it's hard to argue 50-0 and $1 billion. But like I said, Skip, for me, let me put my sport. Skip, if I could get to the end zone without having to run over someone, that's what I did. Now, there were times that, Skip, I was going to have to drop my shoulder and I was going to have to get tough. I was going to have to get macho. That was what to get a first down or to keep a drive alive or to get the ball into the end zone. I get it. But if I could do all of those things without having to lower my shoulder and put myself in harm's way, that's what I did. I didn't go look for someone to try to run over to prove how tough I was. Floyd's approach was different, Skip. Floyd says, I'm trying to win the fight, and I'm trying to minimize the amount of blows, the amount of damage that I'm going to take for my short-term and my long-term health. And for the most part, Skip, we look at Floyd, he's avoided those big hits. He's avoided those big shots, and he's a lot better off for it than a lot of boxers are that we see, Skip. And I get, Skip, a lot of guys, we fighting. When we fight, we fight. Floyd says, no, I'm winning. I'm boxing. It's a sweet science. I've mastered the science. Is that I give more than I receive, and I'm going to walk out here with my arm raised. Skip, it's hard to say. The man doesn't know what it's like, and have someone say "new" when he's the champ, and now 36-1. He doesn't know what that's like, and the outcome. It's hard to argue that, Skip. So I would disagree with Shawn Porter. I would rather have Floyd Mayweather's career.
Give me Manny Pacquiao any day or night or afternoon or evening, anywhere, L.A., Las Vegas, New York. Give me Pacquiao. Shannon, What I've always loved about Manny Pacquiao is that he gives us everything he's got. He's pure entertainment because he always fights with his heart and his soul, wears it on his sleeve. If you want to engage, he will engage. If you want to brawl, he will brawl. I give you, and have always given you, Floyd's the greatest defensive fighter ever. Floyd's the shrewdest operator ever. But watching Floyd bores me to jeers, not tears, to jeers, because I don't like it. I don't like to watch it. I don't like to stomach it. Manny said, no, I'm not going to flick and duck. I'm not going to jab and run. I'm not going to be Floyd. I want to beat Floyd. And yet, Shannon, in the end, I look at Floyd's career, and it's been a mastery of avoiding huge fights at huge moments, because I don't know what his fight of the century was, except for the Pacquiao fight when Manny was 36 years of age. And Floyd got the biggest break of his life. Manny tore his rotator cuff 3 weeks before that bout, sparring. Tried to fight with one arm basically tied behind his back, needed surgery the next day on his cuff, and it was hard to watch. It was defensive brilliance by Floyd because Manny didn't have his second punch. He fought one-handed. And then I look at the rest of Floyd's fights, and he masterfully avoided everybody when they were at their peak. He got De La Hoya when he was basically finished. And then Shane Mosley was 38 years of age. Yeah, you finished him. Maidana twice. I don't know. He sucker punched Victor Ortiz. I'm not into that. Yep. Ghost Guerrero, Berto, Conor McGregor. I'll give you the Cotto fight. I thought it was a very good fight, and that's Floyd's only claim to fame is Miguel Cotto, a unanimous decision. Man, Pacquiao gives you his heart, his guts, his warrior spirit. He gives it to you every night. He fought Marquez 3 times. I realized one of those times he lost his mind a little bit, let his mind wander, and he stepped into a punch and got knocked out. But against Timothy Bradley, he got robbed one time. It was the worst robbery I've ever seen in boxing history. But he ended up fighting him 3 times, and they were warrior battles, which brings me back to Sean Porter. And he just said, look, Sean Porter said, Manny's been in a lot of wars. And Sean says, you know me, I like the war, the battle, the entertainment. My God, Ernestine and I attended the Keith Thurman fight in Las Vegas last August, and we were just blown away because Manny blew the top off that Vegas arena. We'd never seen anything like it. Pacquiao fans go crazy for him. It's hard for Floyd fans to go anything except, wow, that's nice. That's really great defensive boxing. But he doesn't lift you out of your seat, ever. It's all Pacquiao. I want to see Pacquiao. I want to see him again. I hope he keeps fighting. And then Sean Porter's final point is maybe the most powerful of all. He said, when Pacquiao goes out and walks down the street, more people are willing to shake his hand and say hi to him instead of mean mug him the way they might want to do Floyd. Because we all know Floyd hasn't been exactly a model citizen out of the ring. Pacquiao's a politician. He's a philanthropist in his home country, the Philippines. And he's been a very different man outside the ring than Floyd. So in the end,
he did some other philandering
much
too.
More entertaining. What's that?
He did some other philandering too. You talk about philanthropists, but he did some other philandering too. I understand that Floyd. Now, see, for me, I'm not taking this off. I'm just talking about the ring. And I get, Skip, people don't like that Floyd, especially the last decade of his career, he had an opportunity. He was his own promoter. He was his own boss. He picked and chose who he wanted to fight. I get that. But more boxers should take a hold of their careers and not they doing all the work and and Floyd was like, if I'm doing all the work, shouldn't I make the most money? So he did beat Gotti. He did beat De La Hoya. He beat Marquez, pushed the shutout. He beat Ricky Hatton. He beat all the guys that you talk about. Manny beat. He beat those guys.
Yeah.
Corrales pitching shutouts.
He always pitched a shutout. He shut my eyes watching him. I would doze off, Shannon. It's just hard to watch. It's greatness. I give you that. But no, I'm not. I want a man who fights with his heart, and that's Manny Pacquiao. You know it, and I know it.
Well,
you'd rather watch him too.
I want Floyd. Floyd won. Floyd, we got this. The money team, baby. TBE. The best ever. The money team.
No mercy.
In his latest mailbag, Jay Glazer said Odell Beckham Jr. was the player in the NFL whose public perception is the most wrong. Glazer said OBJ is, quote, one of the nicest, most kind-hearted guys. Shannon, do you agree Odell's perception is way off here?
Skip, the thing for me is that your perception is your reality, which might not be true. Now, I've been around Odell only a handful of times, Skip, and he's been very cordial to me. He's been very receptive. We talked on a few occasions, so but I'm just saying. But what about people that have not been around Odell, that just watch him on the field and see the way he behaves? That's their reality. That's their perception of him. That's their reality. So you project, what you project is what people are going to perceive. They see a guy kicking nets. They see a guy taking his helmet off, slinging it. They see a guy getting into it on the field. So in order for you to be perceived in a positive light, you're going to have to project a positive light. And so I don't know if Odell has done the best job of doing that on the field. I agree with Jay. Having been around him, Skip, he's different, but that's not what he projects. And so people that are not like myself and Jay Glazer, that doesn't get a chance to be around Odell outside of that setting, what are they supposed to believe?
Mm-hmm. I am with you. I know where you're coming from. I know where Jay's coming from. But in the end, the Odell I see on the field is nothing but a showboating, look-at-me diva who's more interested in starring than winning. He's the ultimate I player in the ultimate we or team sport. So, Shannon, you might have seen this. Last week, an actor passed away who played Eddie Haskell on the old Leave It to Beaver sitcom series back in the 50s and 60s. And Eddie Haskell was the classic guy who would always, when the adults were around, be over courteous and polite, like super nice. Then when the adults are gone, he turns back into that jerk who said, "Get out of here, squirt," to little Leave It to Beaver. The point is, Odell's got that in him. When the adults are around, when Shannon's around, when Chris Carter's around, he can be very nice and very open and very easy to deal with and talk to. And then all of a sudden, he goes back into his environment in the locker room and the football field, and he goes back to being the Odell that's hard to win with. So I'm sorry. I get that side of him, but the Odell I understand all too well is the guy who's the diva showboat.
Well, Skip, he still can change the perception. I think the greatest job of changing one's perception of oneself is Randy Moss. Look how Randy Moss was viewed when he played, and look at how Randy Moss is viewed now, Skip. He changed the narrative. He changed the perception. And then once he put that side out, people forget about some of the things that happened in Minnesota and in Oakland. Oakland.
Good show, guys. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye.